Electronic Specifier.
Welcome to Electronic Specifier Insights, the podcast for electronics engineers. I'm your host, Paige West. In today's episode, I speak with Stéphane, Director for Business Development and Digital Solutions in EMEA at DigiKey, and Judge for our very own Electronics Excellence Award. We speak about digital transformation and how to navigate the transition from manual to automated. Stéphane also offers advice on how you can get started with digital transformation and why digital transformation is so important right now and for the future of electronics distribution. We hope you enjoy this episode. Let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome back to Electronic Specifier Insights. Today I'm pleased to be joined by Stéphane Ratelet, who is the Director for Business Development and Digital Solutions for EMEA at DigiKey, and Judge for our very own Electronics Excellence Award as well. So thank you very much for joining us, and how are you today?
I'm fine. Thank you for inviting me to this podcast. It's a real pleasure to be with you today.
Oh, you're very welcome. So why don't you start by telling the listeners a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, sure. So I'm graduated as an engineer in electronic and computing science. I started my career into R&D departments for automotive and aerospace markets for about 6 years. And then I found the opportunity to join a European i-service distributor as a field application engineer, first, especially for electromechanical and passive products, and then took over the corporate accounts in the company. So I was for about 7 years. And finally, I moved to DigiKey in 2014. So it's a bit more than 10 years right now. First, to be the business development manager in France, and then as a director of business development in Europe. Along this responsibility, I'm also in charge of digital solutions in Europe. That's why we are probably here today together. So to support key customers during the implementation of our solutions, and also to develop partnership with third-party software companies, and also to work closely with the API and EDI team we have internally based in the US to make sure to provide the best API now and in the future for our customers.
Fantastic. And I'm sure that most of our listeners are very familiar with DigiKey, but why don't you give us a quick overview of the company?
Yeah, sure. So we are a privately owned company founded more than 50 years ago. We are now a service distributor of electronic components and automation products worldwide. DigiKey is headquartered in Thief-River Falls, Minnesota, in the US, where is located our 3 million square feet distribution center. That's the only one. If we convert in square meter, it's about 280,000 square meters. We provide more than 15.6 million components from more than 3,000 suppliers that are available for immediate shipment. And DigiKey is also a web shop translated in 21 languages and does business in 26 currencies to serve more than 180 countries worldwide.
Fantastic. I've been to Thief-River Falls. It's a fantastic place.
Oh, really? Yeah. Recently with the new distribution center, maybe?
Yes. Yeah, I came there last September, just as you opened the warehouse, I think, or it was almost finished. And I've never seen a space so big before. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about digital transformation and how our listeners can navigate the transition from manual to automated. So why don't you start by telling us what does digital transformation look like in electronics distribution?
Yeah, so when I try to remember my first interactions with the electronic distribution, it was when I started as an R&D engineer. I was sitting next to the purchaser, and I remember that person sending faxes to place orders. So that's how it started, right? That's a long time ago. I know I'm old. But yeah, I've seen with the smile. But so then we moved to emails. But when we think about it, it's more or less the same thing, right? We just digitalize, let's say, the fax in some ways, and we send this in a digital way. But at the end, that's the same experience. Then I've seen the beginning of the web with just, showing the offer from distributors, and then the e-commerce when we were able to place orders online. And now we are moving to these digital connectivity things that, are expected from customers. We are really at this inflection point between the manual interactions, because when we think about faxes, emails, web, and e-commerce, there is anyway a human handling those requests or interacting with the tools. But now we are moving to digital with customers that are expecting to more or less no more be involved manually into those transactions. So, and customers must deal with more complex supply chain constraints than before. I mean, we can think about the past years, for example, and they're also under pressure to provide their products quickly and in a cost-effective way. So more and more customers look for ways to be more digital with the internal processes, of course, but also externally the way they interact with the suppliers, distributors, and customers. So it's more or less where we are right now.
What does that mean for DigiKey? So how do you contribute to the digital transformation?
So thinking about customers' interactions with us as an out-of-service distributor, the most important is that they need to request price and availability. That's obviously for us the most important part. But they also send, let's say, requests for quotes that could be from various channels, emails, Excel, and sometimes also online right now. We also have order management they can, sending POs, acknowledgements, rescheduling orders, and after sales interactions with invoicing, payments, and EMEA. And when we think about these interactions and how do our tools contribute to these interactions, for all these needs listed previously, we constantly analyze where customers expect us to be. We invest a lot to optimize the user interaction and constantly review, test new tools to provide the best user experience. And next to this, we also develop offering in digital connectivity. API is the latest, but that's not the only one. But with the goal to allow customers to integrate directly all information into their system and enable automation where it's possible on their side.
Do you find that customers typically concentrate on a specific activity to digitalize?
So again, when we specifically look at our interactions as an out-of-service distributor, we usually see first and the most important price and availability request or the quoting activities. It could be for immediate needs for the production, but it could be to win more business for the end customers too. They spend a significant amount of time checking the best price, and it's intense. It's an intense manual workload. And honestly, it's not always paying on their side because they would like to convert as much as possible the business they quote for their end customers, but the reality is they probably convert 10, 20% maximum. So, but it's also a way to quote and secure prices that they have identified. So, that's, let's say, the main topic. And then the other one is, let's say, supply chain transactions. That's a way for them to optimize many interactions, ordering, order support, order management, and invoicing. But it can be other processes that we see, like optimizing the reception processes with APIs we can provide, also quoting and invoicing. But when we look at the typical journey of a customer willing to be more digital with us, in 95% of the time, they digitalize first price and availability, and then they move to supply chain interaction or other processes, but as a second step.
Okay, so how does this benefit purchases in quoting activities?
So again, the main interaction will be real-time. The main benefit will be real-time price and availability. They can negotiate, they can secure pricing and autonomy. They don't have to wait for someone on the other side to do it for them. That can take hours and sometimes more with other distributors. It's a better speed of execution and time they spend on quoting activities. I mean, we can easily imagine that if we have, for example, just take an example, but we have 5 websites and we have a bit of materials with 100 lines and we have to copy paste everything and collect the information and store this information to find the best solution. It's really time consuming. It can easily take half a day or a day. So it doesn't mean that everything will be digital, but there is a need to clean the data at some point for sure to get the right part number and alternative. But overall, this reduces interaction by 90% of the request, let's say. Next one is also increased accuracy. Soon that they have requested data from the market and they store that information, obviously, the very next day, it can be outdated. So if they need to refresh manually the information, they have to do the whole process again. It's going to be different with digital solutions because then you store the right information, you can refresh anytime you need, and you avoid disruption and the need to do everything manually again if there is a change on the price or lead time or thing like this. This also allows data integration. So the ERP, for example, can be the source of truth. And so because they're going to store the information into the ERP directly, and everything can be checked before they reach external actors like distributors and make sure they are sending the right information and not something they stored a couple of months ago or a few weeks ago. So overall, reduce soft cost, trustable source of information on customer system, leading in better quality data on their side, and avoiding digital disruption when the data is not correct or outdated. And therefore, and probably the most important part, this allow to focus on added value tasks, let's say the key components, the one with the big value, and where it matters the most for the company.
And what about supply chains? As you've said, the last couple of years have been a little bit chaotic, shall we say? What is the impact on supply chain transactions?
So with these digital solutions, they can first automate transactions related to placing POs, receiving acknowledgements, get the entire backlog in real time and in a digital format. So they can automate the exception management on their side and reschedule in real time when it's needed. It also improves supply chain visibility. So we know, as you said, the worldwide supply chain becomes more and more complex with the earthquakes, fires, and resources issues, and also geopolitical frictions. I mean, I'm sure we have all plenty of examples looking at the past 2-3 years. So visibility is key right now. And so this also allows them to purchase at the right time. When we think about lead times, for example, in the fluctuation, I mean, if you purchase too late, or it's going to be a shortage, but if it's too early, it's going to be a cash flow exposure. So that's also a way to optimize this aspect of the business. But overall cost saving, efficiency, accuracy. That's the same benefit as we can see also on the quoting activities.
So what would you say then are the key technologies behind this transformation?
So I'd like to start with the web shop. It's not something that is obsolete. It's still the right option for many customers. So it's important for us to invest a lot of time to provide the best user experience and tools. We've recently, not recently, a couple of years ago, launched MyList. That is a great example of a comprehensive software that we have online. But obviously, this requires manual interactions. But again, that's a great alternative for many customers, and we still have a lot of transactions directly on the web. But now really going into the digital solutions where, let's say, the manual interactions are not required. I can first start with EDI, for example. It's mainly for production needs. It's a standard that has been defined around the 70s or the 80s, if I remember well. But it's limited to supply chain transactions. It's you cannot, let's say, request price and availability using the EDI, and there is no possibility of a roll outside of the supply chain transactions. It's also a solution that requires a third-party provider to handle those transactions, or whether it's supported by many ERPs, so it's easy to implement for many customers. That's why we have this solution that is quite famous on our side. But one thing I want to highlight anyway with the EDI is a way to transfer information between the customer and the distributor in this case, but we need to have accurate data. And if we don't have, this will end with a digital disruption because we're going to have to be involved manually to correct the information. So that's where we have the limitation with the EDI. Next one I'd like to highlight is the punch out. So it's quite unique. This solution especially allows to reduce the soft cost, but it's especially for engineers' needs. It's more ad hoc demand. It's not for codified products. It's definitely not the right fit for CM, for example, but it's a great benefit for OEMs and ODM, for example. Mm-hmm. It consists of a private version of the web shop dedicated to customers willing to delegate purchase to the end users, engineers, most of the time. And even if it requires an e-procurement solution to host the catalogs, because usually it's next to other catalogs, not only one single punch out, it's a fantastic tool to optimize the cost of transactions. And last but not least is the APIs, probably something you've heard a couple of times in our industry. It's definitely the modern technology. It's not a standard like it's with EDI, but we start to see many times the famous protocol REST API, which help customers to integrate these solutions easily. And despite the EDI and punch-out, there is literally no limit regarding what we can do with the API. We can send information, we can receive transactions, we can trigger specific actions. It's a solution that can replace EDI, potentially punch out, and do even more. It's, again, I mentioned in EDI, the fact that we need the data that is clean, upfront. API can definitely allow this. And we have this technology already everywhere. I mean, when we think about the smartphone, for example, believe me, there is probably thousands of requests that are API requests to just get the information that will be shown into the application. So it's something that is widely used, and we start to leverage this more and more into our industry. It's really growing exponentially in number of requests and potentially already overtaking the number of interactions we have on the web shop, just to give you the magnitude of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, brilliant. So given what you've told us so far then, why, in your opinion, is digital transformation so important right now, and why is it also important for the future of electronics distribution?
Yeah. So as you've lighted earlier, I mean, we have all suffered from the supply chain crisis the past 3-4 years, right? Activated by the COVID, I would say. Mm-hmm. This has demonstrated the importance of real-time data and accuracy. Probably the most important, digital transformation allowed to purchase at the right price and at the right time, as I said earlier. Not too early, that will expose the company's cash flow, and not too late, that will generate shortages, leading into extra cost and time. And most important, without involving a ton of manual resources to update the data and analyze. It's also a way to save time and money. So just as an example, I designed an online simulator to see the cost that we can save using digital solutions. And I've run that simulator with a customer that's about 15 million euro turnover. And we've calculated based on the different processes that we can optimize between 80 to 200k euro. That is more or less equivalent to 3 full-time equivalents. It doesn't mean we don't need the resources anymore. Sometimes people are afraid, then I'm going to lose my job. It's not exactly this, because that's the opportunity to reallocate customers' resources to more important tasks in this case. And also, it's important because thinking about the next steps, this will enable automation. Digitalization is a prerequirement to the automation part of the business. If I do an analogy with the autonomous driving, for example, in order to have, for example, the cruise control, the first thing is to digitalize the car's speed, right? You cannot do this. You cannot do cruise control if you don't have the information about the speed. And then once you digitalize the distance with the car that is in front of you, you can move to adaptive cruise control. And once you digitalize the position into the lane, you can think about the keep line assist combined with the adaptive cruise control. And as we digitalize and automate more and more pieces, then we can start to think about the autonomous driving as a whole, right? That's how it works. And it works the same way with industry. The first step is digitalization, that this will enable on-demand automation, and then conditional automation or eye automation, and maybe the paradigm of autonomous business. Maybe not in the near future, but it's where we are heading definitely.
So what would you recommend then for our listeners? How can they get started with digital transformation?
So the first step is probably to determine processes that they would like to digitalize right now, to highlight the pain points of those processes where manual tasks are required. But more important from our perspective, it's also what they will look like in the future, what they would like these processes to be in the future, not just look right now. Because we tend to improve what we have in place right now, but sometimes it's better to redesign the processes, right, and think long-term rather than short-term. Then to assess internal capabilities or evaluate external parties. I mean, it's pretty rare to see customers with the ability to develop internally. We have cases, right, where customers invest into developers or engineers to design exactly what they would like to do, but most of the time it's not. So even when they have the possibility, they also need to allocate the time for specific development and maintenance, and could be quite intense. So we see also many customers in this case, instead to manage internally, to go for third-party software companies that are coming with great turnkey solutions, or hire external developers, for example. So it's usually the step after. And then, once the tool is implemented, of course, to leverage the digital solutions for their business.
Brilliant. Well, I think you've convinced us all that digital transformation is certainly the way forward.
Hopefully.
Before we wrap up then, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, if I can share maybe one advice, customers can visit our dedicated webpage that is related to digital solutions. This page is accessible from the home page and then clicking on resources and then digital solutions. We've translated this page in the major European languages. It contains a wealth of information about what we provide, of course, but also the benefit for customers. We have ebook that customers can download and also the cost saving simulator that I designed many years ago and mentioned earlier.
Fantastic. Well, I'll encourage our listeners to go and check out the website and the further information. So thank you for sharing that with us. And thank you for sharing your insights as well. It's been a real pleasure to sort of deep dive into digital transformation and see what the future of electronics distribution is. So thank you.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you again for the invitation. It was a pleasure to discuss with you today about digital and automation in our industry.
Thank you for listening to this latest episode of Electronic Specifier Insights. Don't forget to subscribe to the series to keep up to date with our newest guests, and do share with fellow colleagues, friends and family who may be interested in the latest news from the electronics industry.
Electronic Specifier.